And so now we enter Ash Wednesday into Lent with a ritual that points us to deep paradox. Ashes, a symbol of death, of utter lifelessness, serves as a reminder of our frailty as humans who are subject to death, our greatest fear. Remember that you are dust, we will be told, and to dust you shall return. And yet, the cross traced on our forehead symbolizes a journey that culminates in the bold Easter news that we can know eternal life. This is, to the sensibilities of our minds, an infuriating paradox. A paradox, a noun, meaning a seemingly absurd proposition that when investigated can prove to be well-founded, or a self-contradictory statement that seems to go against common sense, but may still be true. Welcome to Lent. It is a journey that opens us into winding trails and tunnels in the depths of our human existence, places filled with seemingly impenetrable, unbearable paradox. The whole arc of our scriptures, from the ancient Hebrew narratives to the New Testament, are filled with paradox. The life of Jesus of Nazareth embodies a paradox, not the least of which is the story of his passion and gruesome death that swirls and transforms into the core narrative at the center of our faith, that death is not the end of the story, and the power of divine life and love is not subject to time or death. We are invited into this Lenten journey to enter the disorientation and discomfort of what we do not know and cannot know with our minds alone, yet are fashioned to know in the fullness of our being. Not only fashioned to know, but in testimony to the incomprehensible love and entrustment through which we are created. We are fashioned to have the choice to know. Paradox is at the core of our faith and our lives as humans, at the core of meaning that goes beyond words and cognitive structures. And we are called to grapple in one way or another with this. It is familiar to us, these paradoxes, in the form of age-old questions. If God is all loving and powerful, why is there pain and weakness and fear and loneliness? What does eternal life matter when our loved ones die? Why does God allow hurtful things to happen? And so on. This theme of paradox came alive for me recently in a dream. In the dream, I was in a room with a group of people, and I was about to lay down on a mat of some kind. I was doubled over by a feeling that I've also been having in my waking life. It was the feeling of my heart being pierced by both a sense of awe for the beauty of life, for the tenderness of it, for the preciousness of people and their love and courage, and also my heart being pierced by a feeling of deep, deep sorrow for all the pain and heartbreak in our world. And in the dream, I felt such a powerful urge to cry, but I felt I couldn't because there was all these people around. It would be inappropriate. And just then, I saw a kind woman that I know, and as she walked by, I just knew I had to let it out. And I began to weep. And I cried so hard and so loud that I woke myself up with it. And in the brief liminal space between being asleep in the dream and being awake, I saw and felt two powerful rivers in a confluence pouring out together, coming together, churning and white and warm and good and pure. And then I woke up. And that image, the sound and the feeling of the waters, left me with a potent feeling that some dreams leave you with, and it has stayed with me. And my sense of these two seemingly opposite feelings, awe at the preciousness of life and sorrow for the heartbreak of life, both causing tears, my sense of that has shifted. And I can't really say how in words, but there's less of it feeling like a burden and a sharp pain, and more of it being an invitation to something more subtle, deeper, softer, truer. It should be no surprise that our Ash Wednesday scriptures this evening are filled with paradox. In his letter, Paul tells the Corinthians, God is beseeching us to be reconciled to God. Another way to say this is that God is beseeching us to become merged in the truth of God, in God, with God. And Paul then reminds the people of the many paradoxes they live with: hardship, yet holiness of spirit and truthful speech, affliction, yet genuine love and kindness. He says, we are treated as impostors, yet are true, as sorrowful, yet are always rejoicing, as having nothing, but possessing everything. Paul was encouraging these early Christians, and so us as well, to, as Duke Professor Kate Bowler said, to carry on by living in the paradox that is central to a life of faith. To live in the paradox means we are not tasked with figuring out the riddle of the paradox, to master it so that we can be comfortable, but to follow Christ to a place beyond it. In living in the paradox, it is also not necessary to avoid the weight and discomfort of them. We are called to walk with the paradox, with our eyes open. We can bring our presence to it. We meet the Holy One there, and we find we are changed. This is the journey that Lent offers. God gives us the freedom and the gifts we need for this journey, which opens us, turns us inside out, makes us new in a way that we cannot foresee. We must walk through it ourselves. Author and contemplative prayer teacher Jim Finley said, God is the presence that spares us from nothing. In this process, Christ is our guide, and we align above all with the light of Christ that we can sense within ourselves. And through that, we transcend our old demands for answers, our fears dissolve, and we unfold into a truer self. We can remember, as Paul said earlier in this letter we heard tonight, that the love of Christ is urging us on. We might imagine the electrifying gaze of Jesus beckoning us, come and follow me. I know the disturbing paradoxes and difficulties of being human. I promise you, if you follow the line of truth I'm revealing, you will find the journey is worth it. Our willingness to be with whatever we encounter in this life strengthens us and gives us the opportunity to use the gifts that we have. It reveals our expansive capacity to be with what is as it is. God has entrusted us and given us the gifts to do this. And in this process, we experience that the most important thing is our sense of connection in and with God. In the gospel reading today, we found a human behavior that is its own paradox. Jesus says, beware of practicing your piety before others in order to be seen by them. We humans long for the freedom and peace and strength that drawing near to God brings. But instead of seeking that above all else, we often put our energies into seeking the approval of others, as if that is what will bring us fulfillment. We are being told in this gospel that what is most important is what is happening inside of us, in the place where we can tangibly and firmly align ourselves with the indwelling presence of God who feeds us. Through that, we are aligned with the love that makes us drawn to be truly in right relationship with one another. And this right relationship with one another does not require us to take responsibility for getting others to approve of us. All of this is part of the journey that Lent is offering us. We have this time to use practices to walk through all that troubles and perplexes us about our human lives. The paradox is not our burden, but our holy opportunity. Through this, we learn that we can walk through gateways we think we can't bear into new life that we cannot imagine yet long for. An old prayer says, "Through the gateway of feeling your weakness lies your strength. Through the gateway of feeling your pain lies your pleasure and joy. Through the gateway of feeling your fear lies your security and safety. Through the gateway of feeling your loneliness lies your capacity to have fulfillment, love, and true connection. Through the gateway of feeling your hopelessness lies true and justified hope." These are the gateways Lent invites us to and that God has given to us for our own salvation. May we find our way through them into the abundant gifts offered to us, following the light of Christ that guides us always.